The salt sitting in your kitchen right now may contain far more than simple salt. It can include anti-caking ingredients, a type of sugar most people never notice on the label, and depending on its source, countless tiny plastic particles that you cannot see or taste. Here is what most people are never told. We have been taught to judge salt by its color, its price, and its packaging. Pink seems healthier. Sea salt sounds more natural. A higher price feels like better quality. In reality, every one of those assumptions points you in the wrong direction. So I spent weeks looking beyond the front of the package. I carefully reviewed ingredient lists, product labels, and sourcing information that some testing organizations openly provide while others leave out. Then I compared 10 of the most popular salt brands sold across America using the standards that truly matter. 10 failed to qualify. Only 3 earned a place on the list. And they are probably not the brands advertising has led you to expect. Now let's begin with number 10. Stay with me because the most expensive salt on this list is not the best choice. Number 10, Market Pantry Table Salt. We begin with one of the easiest salts to overlook in American grocery aisles. And that is the point. This is a basic store brand iodized table salt. Turn the container around, and you will usually see a familiar formula: salt, anti-caking ingredients such as calcium silicate, dextrose, and potassium iodide. None of these ingredients are toxins. The anti-caking ingredient helps the salt pour smoothly. The dextrose is used in a tiny amount to help protect the added iodine. And the iodine itself can be useful for the body. We will come back to that later. So why is it on this list? The issue is transparency. Ask where this salt was sourced, and you get very little, no clear origin, no public testing, no real traceability. It is a bulk product placed inside a store brand package. It is not alarming. It is simply unnamed in a serious review. We cannot clearly tell where it came from, and the company does not make that easy to know. That alone keeps it out of the top group. A pattern is starting, and you will see it again. The drawbacks are simple. The grain is so fine that it disappears fast, which can make it easier to use too much. Anti-caking residue may make brines and pickling liquids look cloudy. Iodine can leave a light metallic taste in more delicate foods. Number 9, Kroger iodized salt. Same basic approach, larger supermarket name. And here the story is about refining. Kroger's iodized salt is processed until it is almost pure sodium chloride. What was naturally present is removed, and then an anti-caking ingredient and dextrose are added to keep it flowing and help preserve the iodine. It is convenient and inexpensive, but that low price comes with no clear tie to a specific source. Once again, there is no sourcing page and no public test data. It works well enough for pasta water based on transparency and processing. It cannot rank much higher. Keep that thought about refining, because in a little while I will show you why salt became this white, and it may not be the reason you expect. The drawbacks are clear. It is refined down to sodium chloride, with no meaningful minerals left. Some store-brand salts may use aluminum-based anti-caking ingredients. The iodine level can slowly decline in the months after the container is opened. Number 8, Great Value iodized salt. This is Walmart's house brand. It has huge reach, a very low price, and nearly the same profile as the two salts before it refined iodized salt, an anti-caking ingredient. and dextrose. To be fair, and fairness is what makes this review useful. There is nothing shocking here. For many families, this is a practical and affordable salt, and the added iodine is a real nutrition benefit. But this is an audit, and an audit rewards openness and traceability. Some great value salt provides neither. It is a price-focused bulk product with no named source and no published testing. So it lands here at number 8, not because it is harmful, but because it tells you almost nothing about itself and asks you to trust the front of the package. That is the small version of the bigger illusion. The label is doing the speaking, and it is really only saying one thing. The drawbacks are these. It may come from blended bulk salt supplied by sources that are not disclosed. Free-flowing additives can act differently in certain recipes, and the even, fine texture does very little when you want to finish a dish. Number 7, Members Mark iodized salt. Sam's Club's bulk salt completes the warehouse store group, and the bulk size is the issue. When you buy several pounds at once, salt becomes something you stop thinking about. You may never turn the container around or ask where it came from. It has the same anonymous refined makeup as the others. The only real difference is the amount, which makes it easier to keep using it without questioning it. 4 brands in, and the pattern is clear. Every salt avoided so far has been about what the company does not tell you, not about the salt being unsafe. Now that begins to shift. The drawbacks are these. Large containers may lose iodine strength before they are used up. Bulk size can encourage heavier use and higher sodium habits. And there is no texture choice, just one grain size for everything. Before we reach the worst salt on this list, here is the one detail hidden in nearly every American salt aisle that changed how I shop. It is not printed on the front label. It is the difference between where the salt came from and what happened to it afterward. 2 salts can both be clean, yet one can still be the smarter buy. By the end of this video, you will be able to notice it in seconds, just by holding the container before reading a single line. Keep that idea with you. Number 6, Iberia iodized salt. This is a familiar product in many homes, especially in Latin and Caribbean style cooking. Iberia iodized salt is once again a refined table salt with an anti-caking ingredient and stabilized iodide. The same common combination. What places it here is the same weakness we keep seeing: strong refinement and limited sourcing information. You are not told what sea, mine, or salt flat it came from, and there is no public contaminant testing to rely on. I am including it on purpose, because lists like this often focus only on the big national brands and let regional favorites slide by. That is not how this review works. The same questions apply to every label. A trusted container in your mother's or grandmother's pantry still has to be judged by the same standard. And when it comes to processing and transparency, this is where it lands. The drawbacks are these. There is no meaningful mineral content beyond refined sodium chloride. Anti-caking ingredients can leave cloudy residue in clear liquids, and the low price reflects the lowest cost side of commodity supply chains. Number 5, Badia table salt. Badia is known for inexpensive seasonings that are easy to find, and its plain table salt is just what most shoppers would expect: refined sodium chloride with a flow agent. The usual commodity formula. Now we are in the top 5. And these salts are not moving higher because they are suddenly more harmful. They are moving higher because they sit at the most refined and least transparent end of the shelf. Sold at a scale where most people never stop to ask questions. Here is the shift I want you to make. You would not buy olive oil if the label refused to name the country it came from. You would not buy coffee that only said beans. But with salt, many of us accept a one-word label and an unknown origin without a second thought. Badia table salt is an affordable basic product. It is also a closed box. At number 5, that closed box is the main issue. The drawbacks are these. It is made for storage, not taste or mineral character. The fine grain makes it harder to season by hand with accuracy. And there is no traceable harvest date or batch information provided. Number 4, Morton Light Salt. Now the list becomes more nuanced, because this product can be genuinely helpful and still miss the mark for a very different reason. Morton Light Salt is a blend, about half sodium chloride and half potassium chloride. Its purpose is to lower sodium while still giving food a salty taste. For people watching blood pressure with a doctor's guidance, it can be a useful option. So why does it appear on an avoid list? There are 2 reasons. First, it is a highly formulated product with potassium chloride, anti-caking ingredients, dextrose, and iodine added in. It is far from minimally processed. Second, and this is important, extra potassium is not appropriate for everyone. People with kidney disease or those taking certain blood pressure medicines may need to be careful with added potassium. That is the kind of nuance this review is meant to show. Avoid does not always mean bad. Here it means this is a formulated product close to the medical side of the aisle, not a clean everyday salt. And it should be chosen intentionally, preferably with your doctor's approval. The drawbacks are clear. Potassium chloride can leave a bitter, metallic finish. It is easy to use too much because it looks like regular table salt. It can also change salt balances in baking and brining. Number 3, Lawry's Seasoned Salt. We are in the top 3 now, and number 3 is barely just salt. Lawry's Seasoned Salt is a blend. It contains salt, but also sugar, cornstarch, paprika, turmeric, spices, and flow agents. It tastes good, but it is really a processed seasoning product sitting on the shelf like salt. I include it to make a larger point about every Salt Plus product. Once sugar, starch, color, and anti-caking blends are added, you are no longer dealing with simple salt. You are dealing with a processed seasoning, and it should be judged that way. It is the most processed item in this video, with the longest ingredient list and a formula made for consistent flavor, not purity. If you were looking for salt, this is not really it. If you wanted a quick seasoning blend, that is fine. Just know what you are buying. Number 2, Morton Table Salt, the blue canister, the girl with the umbrella. The most recognizable salt in America. It lands at number 2 because that familiarity is exactly what keeps most shoppers from questioning it. Morton's classic iodized table salt is the model for the whole category refined into white sodium chloride, with calcium silicate as the anti-caking ingredient, plus dextrose and potassium iodide. Again, I will keep saying this because it matters. Those ingredients are not automatically harmful, and the iodine can be a real benefit. It ranks this high because it represents the illusion better than almost anything else. It is the salt that trained generations of shoppers to believe that white, even, and branded means clean and reliable, when it really means heavily refined and not very open about its source. It is number 2 not because it is the most dangerous salt, but because it is the most trusted without question. And that trust is exactly what this video is asking you to pause and examine. The drawbacks are these. Calcium silicate does not fully dissolve in water. The fine grain makes it harder to season accurately by sight, and pure sodium chloride gives you nothing beyond basic saltiness. Number 1, generic store brand table salt. The salt ranked number 1 to avoid may already be sitting in your cabinet. It is not some expensive problem product. It is the plain bag or no-name box you picked up without thinking. It is the cheapest white salt on the shelf. Bought because you assumed salt was not worth questioning. It misses the mark in every way at once. Highly refined, standard additives, no sourcing clarity, and not even a strong brand name behind it. There is no public testing, no real information, just sodium chloride and a low price. It takes the number 1 spot because it shows the main problem behind this whole video: salt bought on autopilot, judged by nothing, from a source no one can clearly identify. It is not that it is certain to harm you, it is that it represents giving up the question completely. And that is what this avoid list is really about. Notice what I did not say. I never said these salts will make you sick. The issue was never simple danger. The issue was the illusion, the drawbacks. There is no clear brand to hold accountable for possible contamination. It may be repackaged bulk salt from changing, unnamed suppliers, and quality control is pushed aside for the lowest possible price. 2 tests you can do tonight. Before you trust any label, you can examine your own salt in 5 minutes with items you already have at home. These tests will not detect heavy metals or microplastics. You cannot do that at the kitchen counter. What they can show is what this review cares about most: how processed your salt is and whether additives may be present. Test 1, the cloudy glass. Stir a full spoonful into a clear glass of warm water. Then lift it toward the light. Salt without additives should dissolve almost clear. A small amount of mineral sediment at the bottom is fine, but if the water turns cloudy and a thin film does not settle, that haze may come from an anti-caking ingredient made to resist moisture. A cloudy glass points to heavily processed salt. A clear glass means you are closer to clean. Test 2, the humidity check. Leave a small pile on a saucer overnight in a damp spot, such as near the stove or in a steamy bathroom. Real unrefined salt is expected to clump by morning. That can be a good sign that nothing was added to keep it flowing. Salt that stays dry and loose, even when the air is humid, was made not to clump. 2 glasses, 2 saucers, and you may learn more than the front of any package will tell you. If you think the costly pink and gray salts automatically win, stay with me. One of the most popular natural salt categories has shown some of the highest heavy metal readings in independent testing, and it does not reach our top 3 the way many people expect. The 3 that passed earned their place because of what is actually inside the container, not because of color or price. Here they are, the 3 that truly pass. Number 3, Redmond Real Salt. This salt is mined in Utah from an ancient seabed, an ocean deposit that dried out and became sealed underground long before plastic pollution. Industrial waste or modern runoff existed. That one detail is why it passes. And it is the point I asked you to remember earlier. Where the salt came from matters just as much as what was done to it. With microplastics, the source is everything. A major 2018 study in environmental science and technology found microplastics in more than 90% of salt brands tested worldwide, with the highest levels in sea salts and the lowest levels in rock salts. Salt taken from sealed underground deposits, like those in Utah, often tests among the lowest for plastic contamination because the modern plastic era never reached it. Redmond is minimally processed, so it keeps its natural trace minerals and light color. Most importantly, the company is open about its source and testing. It meets the key standards of processing, transparency, and lower contamination risk in one place. It ranks number 3, not number 1, only because the next two have a slight advantage in refinement and culinary history. But this is one of the clearest examples on the shelf of knowing exactly where your salt came from. The pros: it has no additives, anti-caking agents, or bleaching. It keeps many naturally occurring trace minerals. It is available in fine, kosher, and coarse grinds. Number 2, Selena Naturally Celtic Sea Salt. Now comes the honest one, because I promised to be clear. And Celtic-style salt is where the story gets more complicated. Selena Naturally Celtic Sea Salt is the moist gray salt hand harvested from the coastal flats of Brittany, France. It uses traditional solar evaporation, minimal processing, and keeps its natural mineral profile. When it comes to processing, harvesting method, and transparency, it is excellent. The company has built a long reputation around exactly that. But here is the part many videos about natural salt leave out. Gray sea salts can show higher heavy metal and microplastic readings than refined salts because they are unrefined ocean salts and not everything has been filtered away. That is the trade-off with natural salt. You get the minerals, along with whatever else the sea carried. So why does it still pass at number 2? Because it is very clear about what it is and where it comes from. It is truly minimally processed, and the shopper can make an informed choice. That is the whole purpose of this audit. This is the surprise the marketing often skips. Natural is a trade-off, not an automatic win. The pros: it is naturally moist, so it does not need anti-caking additives. It is hand-harvested with traditional wooden tools along the coast of Brittany. Its mineral content gives it a layered, briny flavor. Number 1, Malden Sea Salt. The number 1 salt that actually passes is the one chefs have trusted for more than a century, Malden Sea Salt. Its distinctive pyramid flakes, harvested off the coast of Essex, England, win for the plainest and most important reasons: transparency, a clearly named source, one specific estuary. A company that has harvested the same way since 1882, and minimal processing. Seawater is evaporated and raked into flakes. That is basically the whole process. Its culinary reputation is strong because the texture is so recognizable that professionals reach for it by name as a finishing salt. It is not the most expensive salt you can buy, and that is the final break in the illusion. The salt that passes at number 1 beats trendy pink rock salt and boutique fleur de sel, not by costing more, but by being exactly what it claims to be, from a place it can name, processed as little as possible. That is the full list. Color did not win. Price did not win. Source, processing, and honesty won. The pros: it has no additives, only seawater and natural evaporation. Its signature pyramid flakes crush cleanly over finished dishes. It remains family-owned and operated across multiple generations today. The salt illusion is simple. Most of what we were taught about salt was based on the wrong clues color, price, and packaging. White seemed clean, pink seemed healthier, higher cost seemed better. But none of those details tells you what really matters. The important signals are usually not on the front of the box how much it was processed, what was added, where it came from, and whether the company shares its testing. And when it comes to your real health, the honest truth is that the amount of sodium you eat matters much more than the brand name. The trace minerals are very small, and the iodine in inexpensive white table salt has been one of the major public health successes in nutrition history. So if you stop using it, make sure your iodine comes from another source. So the next time you pick up the salt shaker, turn the package around, read the back, and ask the question. The marketing rarely wants you to ask, where did this actually come from? That is the whole point. Now I would like to hear from you. Leave a comment and tell me which salt is in your kitchen right now. And whether you were surprised to see it on this list, I read every reply.